Hey everybody, this is Bridget Danner from Women's Wellness Collaborative, and I'm here today with Andrea Beaman of AndreaBeaman.com, and she is a health educator who is going to educate us on some cool things today. As you can see, she's in her adorable kitchen in Manhattan, so it's not very big accordingly. So, Andrea, what are we going to talk about today?
Oh, we're going to talk about foods to nourish the endocrine system and the thyroid. Because,
Sure.
so many folks, especially women, are showing up with thyroid diseases. And they don't have to. It's optional. It's an optional condition.
Yeah, and you got some really special foods that I'm glad you're talking about because you're going to talk about a food in a second here that most people don't know much about. And what is that?
Oh, one of my favorites. This is kelp or digitalis. You could find it. It's called wild Atlantic kombu, right? So this is a seaweed. It's a sea vegetable, and to call it a seaweed is denigrating, right? It's not a weed. It certainly is a vegetable, just like we have land vegetables that grow on the land, and then we have vegetables that grow in the ocean or in the waterways, right? So this is a sea vegetable. It grows in the sea,
Okay.
and one of the great things about this is that it has a mucilaginous texture. So this is when it's dried, and this is I just soaked a little bit, right? So you can see that it's kind of soft and squishy, and it gets very mucilaginous, right? And what that does is it helps to support the digestive system. So, like our digestive system is this layer of mucus. There's all this mucus, and we can't live without it. We can't absorb our vitamins and minerals without it. We need it. But it houses our good bacteria. So many people today have damaged their mucosal lining through crap food, through tons of antibiotics, so they need to curb the inflammation. And one of the great things about kelp or seaweed, sea vegetables, is that it helps to curb the inflammation. And it also brings in minerals. So this little guy is rich in iodine, which is essential for the thyroid and the endocrine system. It's also rich in, believe it or not, vitamin C, right? And potassium. It has a tremendous amount of potassium. So it's like a triple shot of minerals. It's like land vegetables are amazing, right? But they don't compare to sea vegetables. This has like triple the mineral content of most land vegetables. So it's very important that we get this kind of stuff in our diet. People go, well, how am I supposed to eat it?
Yes.
My favorite, yeah, right. Like, how am I supposed to eat this gooey thing that came out of the ocean, right? My favorite way to have sea vegetables is either in my beans. I'll put a small piece in my beans, and that has glutamic acid, which is a very nice. It gives it an umami, that savory feeling, that sense that we get that makes things more savory and delicious. And
Mm.
I'll put it in with my beans, or I'll put it in with a soup. So, like for example, I have a sable and soba noodle dashi. So soba noodles made out of buckwheat. For those of you that are allergic to wheat, it's not even a relative of wheat. It's a relative of rhubarb. It doesn't contain gluten. So sable is also, it's a very buttery fish. It's so delicious, so rich in
Oh.
omega 3s. It's also called black cod, Alaskan black cod. So I would put that in my soup with my fish, with the soba noodles, with chopped up vegetables, bok choy, ginger, garlic. Totally delicious. And I'd make it for you now, but 5 minutes, that only happens on television.
Okay, let me ask you a couple questions. One is if you put it in the beans, which I have done because I've heard that's for digestibility, then do you eat it or can it just kind of absorb into the beans and, some of the nutrients come out?
Both.
Both.
If you're offended by like the texture, because it can be a little bit slimy, then you don't have to eat it with the beans. But if you have inflammation in your gut, you want that slimy mucilaginous inside your system, because this is what's going to help to curb the inflammation. It's also going to make your digestive system function better. So you can have it either way. Like I said, if you have inflammation, keep it in. If you just want some minerals, take it out, because a lot of the minerals are going to impart into the liquid.
Gotcha. Okay. And then I'm guessing that maybe if you chopped it up small, like it would, be easier to eat. Is that true?
Yeah, yeah, totally. And people don't even know it's there because it practically dissolves. Like if you had this in with your beans, by the time your beans are ready, it's like it's falling apart. It's literally falling apart, and you don't need a large piece. So like this is a pretty large piece. That would be for an entire. Like I would use about this much. for an entire pot of beans, right? So you can see,
Okay.
what is that, 2.5 inches,
Okay. And
right?
that
So a lot of
that
people,
serving like that can like give, a pot of beans, give 4 people a little dose of minerals, all of them.
yeah,
Okay.
because there's trace minerals and micronutrients, right? So we live in this era of more is better, and it's not necessarily the truth, right? So there's a reason why this was eaten in small quantities and not in
Mm.
big gigantic, like what we do. You go to any health, we get a big giant seaweed salad the size of your whole body. That's not the way it was traditionally eaten.
I love it. Yeah, it's so true. I ordered a seaweed salad at a restaurant near me, and I'm like, I can't not eat this entire seaweed salad. It's too much.
Right, 3 bites and you're done. You're like, oh,
Okay.
I'm done. I'm
All
full.
right. What else do you have for us?
Herbs. So here we come back onto the land and we're going to the plants. So for anyone that's suffering with any endocrine disorders or problems with the nervous system, or they're exhausted and fatigued, right? We're going to use something called licorice root. So licorice root is antiviral, it's antifungal. It's an old-fashioned remedy. It's like like in America we have licorice Twizzlers, right? But it's not, that's not medicine. So licorice root is an actual root that is highly nutritive. So when my clients come and they are suffering from, they got EBV, HPV, herpes, any virus, I put them on an antiviral like licorice. And it's
Mm.
delicious. It's totally delicious. And what you do is, so I'll take, like, this is my French press. I'll take, for example, a tablespoon of licorice root. I'll put that into my French press. I'll take some motherwort, right? So you want to talk about mineral-rich plants. This is a mineral-rich plant, but it also is anybody that's suffering with anxiety, depression. This is there's a reason why it's called motherwort. It's very comforting. It'll help the liver flush excess toxins. It'll help your digestive system get rid of waste because of that bitter flavor. So, like, we don't even think twice. Oh, I'm going to have a, Joe Schmo coffee, right? The underlying profile of Joe Schmo coffee is bitter. And then we put in sugar and milk and cream and butter and whatever else. So this is also bitter. But we go, we're not used to having this kind of bitter. We're like, okay, give me the coffee bitter. But the coffee bitter, which is also helps your body drain, you take a cup of that coffee, you go into the bathroom. The problem with coffee is that it also drains all your minerals. That's where motherwort comes in. This is bitter. It'll help you go to the bathroom, but you're also getting a huge hit of minerals. You're getting all this chlorophyll. You're getting everything that comes with a plant, like a land plant that is a leafy green. As well as you're nourishing your heart. I know, it's so fantastic.
So here's another question. Some people like the sea vegetable. They might not be used to the bitter taste. So could they just have like a little bit of this tea, just a little couple ounces?
Yeah, like I would say a cup a day.
Okay.
And like women who are having night sweats and menopause problems, 1 cup a day, and within a week or two, their hot flashes are going to resolve. Because one of the reasons why you get a hot flash is because the liver is congested. So if the liver is congested, it's not breaking down the hormones, it's not breaking down the estrogen, it's not breaking down everything and sending it back out. It's exhausted, right? It's congested. It's filled up with all the toxins that we put into the body. So this, even though it's a bitter and even though we're not used to it, once they start to feel, they're like, oh my God, no more hot flashes, no more anxiety, no more palpitations, right? I'm feeling sexy, I'm feeling happy. They'll be like, give me the bitter, give me the bitter. Honey in there.
Perfect. Well, I can see why you're a great health educator. You're so fun and so knowledgeable. You're going to be on the podcast. Tell us what you're going to talk about on our podcast.
I think we're going to talk about like why it's essential to get into the kitchen and cook, as well as what you can do to nourish your thyroid and your entire endocrine system. We'll talk about a whole bunch of stuff that'll get people really excited. And like when people think about health, they're like, "Oh God, another boring health lecture." Absolutely not.
Not with you. I don't get that impression. Okay, so your website, AndreaBeaman.com. Is that right? Okay, and then you're launching a thyroid program. Tell us the name of that.
Oh, that's Nourishing Thyroid Health Program. So I have I have students and clients around the world. So I put my program up online so that they can access it easily, right? They don't have to keep flying to New York and all that stuff. So they just hop on, and I teach them about the endocrine system, about the thyroid, the herbs for the thyroid and the endocrine system, the foods, what food to eat, what food not to eat, how to prepare it properly, as well as we go over the emotional connection to thyroid disease, the spiritual connection, because we're more than just a physical body. Where we got this beautiful thing that we live in, but there's also an emotional component, an energetic component, right? A spiritual component. We're everything. Human beings are everything. so,
Mm.
so I teach people how to get their body back in balance so that the thyroid heals. And the thyroid, by the way, is the ability to express yourself, right? That's the emotional connection, spiritual connection. How are you expressing yourself?
Mm.
Yelling and screaming, angry, right? Hating, right? Hater, or expressing yourself with grace and wisdom. This is
Mm.
all how the thyroid works.
I love it. I love it. Okay, well, let's wrap up here, and I will see you on the podcast. Thanks, Andrea.
Okay, thank you.